All right. Let's just jump right into it. You know, that's what I'm thinking right now. Whoa. Forgot about my mic stand and it's good now, so I can just hold it in one spot. Right there is good. That's the wrong thing. Ta-da! We're gonna be mini mame today. Just a head in the corner. I should make my head really big. Yeah. We're gonna be mini mame today. I am not sure how much bandwidth this is gonna take, but I'm a tiny bit afraid. But here goes nothing. It's also, I don't know. This might go well. This might not go well. We won't really know until that didn't work how I thought it was gonna work. Oh well. Until I try. Let's see. First things first. Move that there. Open this up. This here. Nice. Oh, you know what? Where's our playlist? This is like a time where we can actually like throw our playlist in the background. And I can mute it for myself, but have it playing for everyone else. Yeah, it's too loud. Half that. I recorded that right there. That way, I can put up a video. I don't even know what version of Blender this is. It's the newest version. Blender. The newest version of Blender is 3.2. Okay. Blender 3.2. Nope, that is, what am I looking at? 3.2 tutorial. Oh, what's new? 6 months ago. 3.0 by Blender Guru. The beginning, the tutorial part 1.
If you've just opened...
What? If you just opened... Wow. Zooming, panning. I think I might be able to... do this. Hold up. We're going to go into studio mode for once. I make another window capture. Display capture? Window capture. YouTube. Okay. Oh, it instantly took to what I was trying to get. That's pretty good, actually. Okay. I don't need to be that high. High up. Oh, you know what? It can be like there, actually. And then we're going to transform. No, we're going to right click, filters, add. I probably should have done this beforehand, but I'm kind of, running out of time. Crop top, I don't know, 100 pixels? That's left. You know what? It's fine, left and right. Top is what I'm looking for. 200. 150. Nice, which means the bottom is probably 200. That's too much. 150. Nice. And then this is going to be really tiny in the corner. Yeah. And transition. And turn off studio mode. There you go. How about that? And then when I do this,
in Blender for the first time, and then you've tried to do things, maybe trying to see how far you can go without getting help, you might have discovered.
All right, this is gonna be our tutorial.
You can't even move things without a tutorial.
Just have it open. I should. Oh, I don't have a way to mute it. I'm just gonna. Let's get the... Open up a text file as well. And then text. This is probably really weird from afar, but it makes sense to me. I need your... There we go. Okay. Oh, where'd he go? We mess anything else up? I already messed something up. That's right, they did undo finally. All they did is like, wait, I need the words. Uh-oh. This is already super scuffed. It's super funny. All they did was like, Jesus. Yeah. That's good enough, probably. I need my mouse cursor back. Nice. Nice. So I do this. Ta-da! I'm putting you guys in a... transform. Add. Group. Set up. Group. Vid. Oh shit, I did not. Forgot that was coming. Go inside. You also go inside. Nice. Then just like that. Okay. At least now.
You don't need to learn everything that you can see, right? I, for example, have been using Blender for 18 years, and I still have not touched some parts of Blender, like scripting. Never touched it. Because I don't need to for what it is that I'm trying to do. This fly is going to kill me. If you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, I think there's really about 20% of Blender's features that you'll use in 80 or 90% of projects. And that's what I want to teach you.
So we're going to watch this.
And then since I think doing is the best way to learn, along the way we'll
hopefully
also be building our very own donut, of course.
Nice. I only have 2 hours to do this, so hopefully we can figure it out in 2 hours.
Every time I'm making a donut tutorial series, every time Blender releases a new version, I make this series. So if you finish this full series, you will end up with a donut that looks very similar to this.
Yeah.
So let's get started. This big window that you can see right here opened up.
I kind of already know how to move
the 3D viewport, and it's where you'll spend probably 90%
3D space just
because
by
everything
using
you need to visualize,
whether
it's an animation or an arcviz or anything
just
like
by
that,
using random software
right here. So by default, you can see you get 3 objects. You've got a cube.
What do I pan?
You've got what looks like a ball on a piece of string. That's a lamp. And then you've got a camera. This little
beautiful.
What would you call that?
I see all those
triangle arrow looking thing. That's a camera. Okay. And then if you were to render this by going to render.
We're not doing any rendering because we won't be able to do
it. It would take a snapshot from that camera view. Okay.
Our computer might
Now, although
actually
this looks
die.
very similar to what you were just looking at, this one actually has lighting information. Okay, you got shadow, you got some light coming off the top here. And if you had textures or materials and everything else, it would all be calculated.
I think we
okay?
killed the computer.
So if you've already used other 3D software, you're already familiar with the concept, but this
Nice.
is one of the basic principles of 3D rendering. What you build in the 3D viewport is sort of like a simplified version of what it is you're trying to create. And then when you're ready for that final image, you hit render, and then it uses your CPU or your GPU to crunch all the numbers and calculate the light and the bounces and everything like that to create that final beautiful image. So that's the basics. All right, but you might notice like, okay, well, all right, can we move this thing? How do we even do something basic like move it? There's two ways you could do it. One would be to use the Move tool in your toolbar. If you activate that, you can see that over the cube now you get these arrows. And if you were to click and drag on any of those arrows, you would move it along that axis. If you clicked on the white circle in the middle, then that would just be sort of like free dragging it, okay? Now, you could do it that way, but actually, I never do it that way because it is far easier to just learn the hotkey. Which in this case is G. G for grab.
G for
okay,
gamer.
So hit G. Your cursor doesn't have to be anywhere near it. And I'm not clicking. My hands are off the clicker. It's just attached to your cursor, basically, the moment you hit G. And then if you just do a single left click, it will confirm its movement. So G, click.
Now we don't have to go looking for your mouse cursor.
Anywhere, right? And I can do it, which is actually good because you don't have to like think about where is my cursor? Do I have to like get it on here and then hit it? No, it's really, it just allows you to work really fast. Excuse me while I get a drink of water. I know I'm only 2 minutes into the video. 4 minutes. All right, anyways. Now, one thing you're missing with this is those axes lines, like being able to move it along a specific axis is actually a really common action. You want to use it all the time. And you can do that after
How do I center the
G
camera?
by typing the letter of the axes.
Oh,
so
Z,
there are 3 axes, and the axes letters are X.
Y.
Okay.
Oh
which is,
my
left to
god.
right, Y, which is back and forwards, and
If I hold
Z,
two, can I do two at the same time?
which
I
is
can't.
up and down. Some 3D softwares call the Y axis the up and down, but Blender's it's the Z, the blue one. Alternatively, you can also, as you're moving it, if you hold down on your mouse, on your scroll wheel, if you push in, that's called the middle mouse button, push in until it clicks, and just hold that, and you can see you get this little line that draws out, and then you can just drag it to the nearest line,
nearest
axis, and it will automatically snap to that.
Interesting.
Which is really handy. Pretty cool.
I will never remember that.
Okay, so that's moving
good.
things. Now, the other 2 actions that are really common is rotate and scale. And you can, again, you could use the tool just by clicking
R for rotate. Oh.
You know, rotate it on a specific axis. You can click in the middle and like do a trackball thing. Scale, exact same thing. Scale it like that. But again, I recommend
S for scale.
hotkeys, which you
Oh my god, that's so easy.
Yeah, the hotkey for this one. So where it says shortcut, shift spacebar,
it just works.
True, you could activate it from this little menu here if you hit shift spacebar, but it's the one after that. R, really easy to remember. R for rotate. Okay.
I like how this.
And then
why is that playing the wrong thing? I like how the building block is so universal that once he mentioned like mouse button and then whatever key shortcut, it just makes sense. So I've hit S and then the mouse key, the mouse middle mouse button. It's the same way as if I would hit, anything else like R, middle mouse, rotate Y axis. That's pretty neat. No weird tomfoolery.
Then you can hit the letter of the axes as well, or do that same holding the middle mouse button. Oh, that's weird.
How do I
Maybe
pan?
because I did it after tapping it.
E for pan?
And then you've got scale, which is hovering over it. S for scale. Okay, S, X, Y, and Z. Like that. And if you want to cancel a movement, you can hit escape, or you can just right click as well, and that'll also cancel the movement. But yeah, so you can see you could do quite a lot just with those few little movements there. Okay, so that's how you move stuff about. Now, let's talk about the next thing you probably want to learn is like, how do I actually move my view? Like, how could I look and explore the rest of the scene? And that is also done with your middle mouse button. Okay, so if you click in on your scroll wheel until it clicks, you are orbiting. That is how you orbit. And my laptop people with trackpads, you are panicking right now because you've just realized you don't have a middle mouse button. You can do it in a pinch by going to the top right-hand corner. There's a little gizmo. And if you just click and drag on that, you can see that you are able to free.
If only I had a laptop. Just kidding.
Alternatively, you can also go edit preferences and then underneath input, if you click emulate 3-button mouse, this will enable you to holding down Alt. If you then hold down left click, it just does the same thing as.
I might want to do that because my mouse button is really hard to press. File. May I say preferences? Preferences. Wait. Input. Alt. It still works too. I'm going to do that just because this is actually kind of easier for me because my middle mouse is really hard to press. Like really hard. And it doesn't always press well. Which my thought process. I guess it's not that important.
It's pretty cool. It's not bad. Whilst you're here, by the way, you might also, depending on the size of your screen, you might want to change the resolution because by default it's 1, which on my 4K monitor, you can see that my...
It's kind of small for me too. This guy's a genius. Edit preferences. Interface. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, it's good. That is... Oh, it's too much. Help. Uh-oh. It was like 1.2. 1.2 is good. Yeah. You know what? 1.3 actually perfect. Wow, I feel I can really read everything else.
My buttons and the text is really small.
This is 16 minutes long.
And if you crank it all the way up, you can get to something comfortable. The 0.4 or 5 is what I would normally go for. And by the way, I'm snapping it. Like as you're dragging something, if you hold down Control, it's using incremental numbers.
I love
so
increments.
To like a whole number. I'd normally go like 1.4 if I was using it myself, but it's a tutorial, so I'll keep it big so you guys can see what I'm getting at.
Tutorials.
Cool. And another thing, just while I'm here, just mentioning, some of you are from other 3D software, 3ds Max, Maya, that kind of thing. You might find it helpful to know there's an industry-compatible key map that you could enable.
Industry-compatible.
I'll put them up on the screen here, but it's more common keyboard shortcuts if you're used to other software. But for this tutorial series and everyone else,
I do use Adobe's software,
because
so
of course, all the hotkeys and everything you'll learn whilst learning Blender will be for this hotkey thing. Anyways,
we'll just keep it what it
so
has.
That's orbiting. Okay. Now you can see as I orbit around, it's like locked on to my middle of my screen here. Okay.
It's not
if I want to move somewhere else, that is pan, which is shift middle mouse button. Okay. Now I'm shifting my view to somewhere else where I could pan around that place and shift again. And if you're on a trackpad, you could also use this move the view, this little hand icon thing at the top there.
That's what I was doing earlier.
Do invest in a mouse, please. You will need it for 3D. You really should get a mouse. It's going to be tough. The other thing that I'm doing right now is I'm using the scroller to zoom in and out.
Scroll wheel.
You can also use this little magnifying glass up there. Or hold down Control, and then again click in on the middle mouse, and that will use a smooth movement rather than the scroll wheel, which is quite jaggedy. Okay,
simulate that third.
So let's say you've moved the cube all the way over there. Like, okay, so you could, if you wanted to go and inspect your cube, you could, work your way over there by using Shift middle mouse button to pan over there. But it is far easier to just learn the hotkey number pad period, which will focus on any selected object. So if I want to go to my camera over there, I can select my camera, and number pad period will take me over to there.
Okay, I don't think it has any
my laptop users
key bindings for me.
I don't have a number pad. All right.
Which is good because I have a bunch on my number pad.
Is hold down the tilde key which is that weird key underneath your escape key you've probably never used before.
I
That
do use
brings
that
up
one.
a pie menu with a bunch of view options, and view selected
Do-do-do-do.
is focus.
We go
View
inside the-
selected will take you there.
Inside the cube.
Okay, cool. So we've learned
Amazing.
orbiting with middle mouse, shift middle mouse to pan, and then control middle mouse to zoom in and out or scroll. The other one you probably want to learn is align your view to axes, because it's something that you like. New beginners often end up like upside down, and they're like, "How did this happen?"
Am I doing
so
the line
you can
to
go
axes?
To bring yourself the right way up just by clicking one of these letters on your axes up here. Okay, so if you clicked that, I'm now the right way. Well, am I the right way up? Yes, I'm the right way up. I'm just focused on a weird part of the scene. That's why it's very weird.
I cannot.
Alternatively,
Shift, tab,
instead
Alt.
of these, so there's the 3 axes that you could snap yourself to. You could also learn the hotkeys, which is number pad 1 for front view, 1 for front view, 3 for side view, and 7 for top view. That's only number pad. It doesn't.
I
work
have those
for
all
your
keybind
keys
for
along
the
top
stream stuff,
unless
so we
you
can't do
wanted
that.
To enable that over here, emulate number pad, and then it would do that. But yeah, so that's handy as well. You might also find. You'll notice, that in this view, this is orthographic mode. Okay, so we can't see the other sides of our cube right now. It's a weird looking cube, but we can't see the other sides because this is orthographic mode. It's like looking at it with like a focal length of like infinity, right? So there's no depth in our scene right now, which is actually really handy, and it defaults to it for this align to view thing. Immediately, because you usually want that, but the hotkey for that is number pad 5. And that will take you in and out of.
If I hold Alt and mouse wheel,
up there.
It lets me do it
Like that. You can see the difference.
Kind of cool.
Oh, and another way that you could see align to view, because there's a couple of ways. You could also use that tilde key. That'll take you to the top, the right, the side, etc. You could also use the viewport. You could change those. It's also got the hotkeys there if you happen to forget them.
It's already really confusing.
And the other way is the same as ZBrush, if you're familiar with ZBrush. I just cleared the location of that with Alt-G. You don't need to remember that one. That's a weird one. Similar to ZBrush, holding down Alt whilst middle mouse button orbiting will also snap it to the nearest axes, which is also really handy as well. So if I'm like moving around and I'm like, I want to look up.
Well,
just
I'm
hold
so
down Alt
smart.
and
I already
just
figured that
snap
out.
there, which is really handy. So that's kind of the 3D viewport. We'll obviously get way more into this as we delve into the other lessons. But whilst we're here, these other sections over here. So on the right-hand side, this is your properties.
I can remember
and as you
not
can
to use my
imagine,
number
the
pad, which I do all
properties
the
of
time.
Things in the 3D viewport. Or the scene. You could change render settings or things here. And look, there's a lot here. Like I would strongly recommend not trying to learn all the values because you're not going to remember them anyway. We'll go through them as they're needed in this tutorial series. I think the best way to learn is to just do for something that you need to do. So that's what I try to teach. These options, some of these options will change depending on what is selected. So like if my camera is selected, you can see I get a camera icon and then I could change some camera settings.
Nice.
If my cube is selected, I get some material settings, right? I could click material and I could change the color to red and I could see a beautiful gray red color. It's a weird look.
What? How do you do that? Oh, base color.
Right? I could click material and I could change the color to
Like
red.
purple here.
And I could see a beautiful
It'll change.
gray red color. It's a weird looking red. The reason it's not changing over here in the 3D viewport is because, again, this is a simplified view of the final render. So there's no material properties in this view. We'll get to viewport rendering later on. But for now, you would see it, though, if you were in rendered, again, F12. To do an actual.
I do remember
render.
some stuff from this program because
now,
I've
at the
tried
top
learning
here,
it before.
We have got a outliner. So this is keeping a running inventory of everything that you've got in your 3D viewport at the moment. So we've got 3 objects and we've got 1 collection. So a collection is just, it's like a folder, basically. Simple way to think of it. So you can like organize things. You can rename things just by double clicking on it. Yeah, whatever, right? And so that'll automatically update as you add things to the scene. Like if I was to duplicate my object, which I could do by hitting Shift D to duplicate, you can see there's created another object right up there in the outliner. So if I ever like lose something and I'm like, oh, where's that thing? I can just find it on here and then just, bam, whoops, bam. Oh, by the way, I just accidentally tapped number pad 0, which is how you can look through the camera view. You could also do it by hitting the little camera icon on the right there, or by going viewport, camera, or by hitting the tilde key. So there are 4 places to get viewport options depending on what device or whatever it is that you're looking at. I deleted something by hitting X. You could also do it by hitting delete. By the way, I'm throwing a lot of keys at you, keyboard shortcuts. It's a lot to take in, especially when you're starting.
At least Control Z still
keyboard
works.
Shortcut PDF, and the link for that is in the description.
Hey,
it's just a list. It's like 3 or 4 pages of the most common hotkeys that you'll need to learn, or you might need to reference as you're using Blender. So you can basically load it up on another monitor whilst you're working, and you've got it there as reference if you need it. I used to make it like a bonus for signing up for my newsletter, but now I'll just make it free. So you don't have to subscribe. You can just click that link, view it, and hopefully that'll make it easier.
What a good guy.
Use Blender. You can still subscribe to my newsletter. It's a weekly newsletter on tutorials, artworks, and things that I find.
I don't know if I can run their ads.
So if you want to
join
me, and we'll be learning about
part 2. Let's go.
This tutorial series was brought to you by my company, Polygon. High quality hotkeys. We fooled around.
I don't know if I can run other people's ads.
That donut. Okay, so we are going to delete our default cue, which is just the delete key or X.
Okay.
The older shortcut.
Gets added to the BIS
with something new. So to add a new object in Blender, you need to go up to add here, and you get this long mesh. Or you can hit the hotkey, which is what I'm going to be using for the tutorial, Shift A. And truthfully, most of these options, a lot of the options you rarely use. Like speaker, I don't think I've ever used. Most of the time what you're looking for is mesh. Because to render anything, you really need to start with a mesh. If you followed like a character tutorial, you might be surprised when they're like, all right, start with a cube, and then, we'll bip-bidi-boo, and we'll form the character eventually from that, right?
Character tutorial.
But you have to start with something. So usually you pick the object which most resembles what it is you're trying to create. And in this case, there's a really easy one.
Hey, it's a monkey.
The donut-shaped one. The torus.
Nice.
Torus. That is a word I never would have learned, except for Blender. I would have called that a donut. But evidently the mathematicians decided they need a special word for it.
Nice.
Okay. When you add an object and do certain actions actually in Blender, you get options straight after adding it, okay? But they're kind of hidden because they're trying to stay out of the way unless you need them. And it's down there in the bottom left-hand corner. There's a little box, which if you click it, it expands. And then you get options like...
I didn't get that. Hold up. Shift, add, Taurus. There they are. I see them now.
The resolution and the size of it and everything. Now, if you don't see that box, it's probably because you accidentally clicked off it.
Oh, you already told me why.
It'll only show it after you've just added it. If you click off it, it assumes you're fine with it. You're good, okay?
This guy's
smart. If you haven't done another action since then, if you haven't edited it and clicked on something else or whatever, you can temporarily bring it back for one last time, really, until you do something else with F9. Okay, so F9 will bring those same options back. Just
it's back.
Cursor, basically. But if you don't see it, then just re-add it, delete it, and re-add it, and you'll get those options back again. Okay, so with this, let's make some changes to it. Okay, so for starters, this is a very thin donut.
I like big donuts.
You want to know this maybe, but this is the 3rd time I've made this donut beginner series. Every time there's a new version of Blender, I make this series again. This is number 3.
That's where I knew this guy
basically, for the last 5 years of my life, I have been seeing every day on Twitter when somebody tags me in their donut render. And I've become very good at realizing the attributes that make donuts look good. And I think
make myself a little bit larger.
The best donuts are the ones that look thick.
Yeah.
The ones that look like, oh yeah, I want to sink my teeth into that because it's got a lot of icing, it's got a lot of dough. I don't know, just something
A
about a
lot of
fat
nuts and a
donut.
lot
It's
of
just like,
doughs.
yeah, that looks delicious. So I'm going
Uh,
thick this time. Okay. And
oh,
then
yeah.
the major segments and the minor
It
segments,
keeps
these are, as you
changing.
can probably see, we'll call it the resolution of our donut, but it is it's
Can
the
make a
amount
good
of
diamond.
geometry.
Oh,
Okay, so
Reed's
this,
lost.
you are probably tempted to go like really high,
Max.
because this is what I did when I first started using Blender in 3D. I'm like, I'm
Oh
trying to
my
make something high
god.
quality and
Oh.
realistic, so it's got to be smooth.
It's a
Okay,
waste
so
of
I'm going to go
polygons.
really high res. It's actually the opposite. You do not want that. I immediately realized when I started using this is a terrible idea. For one,
Lower
you can't go
polygons
back.
is better.
Okay? When you go high, you can. If you go low, you can add other things, which is what we're going to do to make it smoother. But it's harder to go back. And also with this, it takes longer to render. It's harder to work with because it's a bigger file. Your viewport slows down. Your computer's whirring away harder. And also it is harder to work with. Okay. When we enter edit mode, and we're going to do this later and like do some edits and stuff here, I have to work with this many vertices, these little points.
Too many.
And that is just too much. So you actually want the exact opposite. So we want to keep it as minimum. Okay, so the minimum amount of detail depends on what it is you're trying to create. We could go like really low, but we're actually going to use part of this donut for the icing. So I'm trying to think, okay, what am I going to do with the icing? Am I going to make some like dribbly bits going down it? I don't know. Having done this a few times, I think I'm going to go with around like somewhere around 40 to 20.
40?
Something like that.
20.
16.
16, why not?
Good. Okay. I'm
Gonna
by the
follow
way,
us
and
to
you
the nines,
would never know
to the
this,
T.
because how could you if you're a beginner? But like it's also a good idea to try to keep square faces, because as a general, if you're making something organic and it's going to be smooth, if it's got rectangular faces, it can like stretch the shading and things just start to look weird. So I'm trying to keep it generally
The normal
to a square
map,
face.
I think, is what
Doesn't
it's
have to be a
called.
hard rule, but something like that. All right, then I'm going to click off it, and I'm done, and I can't get those options back temporarily with F. But you get the idea. Okay, cool. So, great. Let's talk
cool to me.
about, first of all, the size of this donut, okay? Because although it looks like, what is the scale of our scene here, right? We're like looking into the distance there. Like,
Infinite.
how big is this grid floor? We don't know. It could be microscopic.
Isn't it like 1 centimeter by 1
500
centimeter?
meters. It could be landscape size. We don't know. We actually do. Okay, so each one of these
See if I remember this right or not.
squares here, is it 1 meter or 2? I think it's 1 meter.
Oh, excuse me, meter.
Yes, it is 1 meter. Okay, so this, actually, the size of our donut is humongous. It is 3 meters by 3 meters. Okay, so if you, sorry, I didn't tell you the hotkey. N will bring up your properties. Very handy, convenient shortcut. You just bring it up when you want to learn. Click on your object and then go to item, and then you can see details around your object. Okay, so it's 3 meters by 3 meters, which is like roughly like 2 people laying down lengthways.
Jeez.
By the way, speaking of that, if you are American, for my American audience, you can change your units to be Wacky Imperial. And
Never.
You can get 9.9 periwinkles or whatever it is. I don't know. You can do that. I'm going to use 3 meters because the rest of the world is also watching. All right.
Whoa,
So,
what did I do?
This obviously needs to be much smaller, so we're going to scale it. Scaling, the hotkey, S. Scale it right down to the size of a donut, which I've learned is around about, like, the biggest size would be around about, like, 10 centimeters, right? Yeah, roughly. So, yeah, 10 centimeters is what we're looking for, something like that. We could have done it when we added the torus,
0.1
but
meter?
that was radius, and radius is, like, you got to double it to make it. And I'm like, just scale it down after we make it, and it'll be much easier.
Hey, looks
to figure
good.
out. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to do is apply the scale, because, and this is another thing you would never know if you're a beginner, but it's sort of a running joke in the 3D world. But like anytime you run into a problem with your mesh, something's not working, apply the scale, because if your scale is wrong, other things tend to perform wrong, like modifiers and other things like that. So this scale here should pretty much always be 1 if you can, try to make it always 1, roughly speaking.
Oh, whoa.
So
what did I do?
apply your scale, you go Control A and then hit scale. Okay, so Control A for apply and then scale. And now it is 1. Nothing has changed, but it just means things will work better in the future.
So I just rescaled the donut, the project to this donut. I think is what it's saying.
Because I know I'll forget it, and then they'll be like in the comments, and people go, "Why is mine messed up?" And it was because of this part I didn't say hit. Anyway, all right.
Everything's
Okay, so
scaled
how
to
do we
this
get rid of these
size now.
jagged
I
lines?
understand.
That's probably your next question. How do we get rid of those jagged lines? There are two types of shading in Blender or in 3D: flat and smooth. So by default, it is
Hello?
flat. To change it to smooth, we just right.
Uh-oh, what happened? Oh, what did I do? Control save. This one's gonna be called nut. Hmm. That's interesting. Oh. Wait, what? Oh. What did I do? I don't know. It's black now. It's very weird. Very strange. Up. We will relaunch Blender. Up. There you go. Got it. Nut. I don't know what made that happen, but it did anyways. Whatever. It's fine. Ta-da.
Click and then hit shade smooth. Okay. And when we do
Oh.
that, it is basically like,
You go way back.
I didn't say hit. Anyway, all right. Okay, so how do we get rid of these jagged lines? Because that's probably your next question. How do we get rid of those jagged lines? There are two types of shading in Blender or in 3D:
Okay.
flat and smooth. So by default, it is flat. To change it to smooth, we just right click and then hit shade smooth. Okay. And when we do that, it is basically like for these faces here. It has taken, instead of treating each face separately, if they're an adjacent face, it's going to like stretch the light across. It's going to treat it as if it is one continuous face rather than two faces. So for organic objects, which means length, things that are flowing essentially, or rounded things maybe.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Smooth things, and then for like architecture or hard surface things, you want flat things. So shape.
That's really weird. I don't know why it's doing that. The mysteries of using my GPU to both stream and render. Oh, it killed it. I do know how to fix this. It's really annoying. Just gonna do that and hope that works. Oh, that's right. I think it breaks it because when I go into see how you can still see stuff like at the bottom of my screen? Or that's my top of my screen. Wait, what? Oh. Transform. Wait. Fit to screen. Bro, what is going on right now? It's there and not there at the same time. What a mystery. Oh. Interesting. Don't save. What? That's gonna look weird. It keeps opening on the wrong screen. Okay. Nut. It's gone. Shade flat. I gotta click it first. Huh. I don't know. I mean, I kind of do know. Oh, wait, but we're just using YouTube, so. I kind of wanted to stream my process, but now I kind of can't. Because I had to restart everything. Hold up. Let's pull this down. Make this easier on myself. I can actually see what I'm doing. I can't even see. Wow, that's kind of weird. I somehow am activating a shortcut. I don't know what it is. What's this one? Alerts. Okay. That works. That works. That also works. That works. What? That was weird. Okay, I know what we're going to do. We're going to have to be kind of dangerous. Okay. Okay. We're just going to be capturing this whole window, I guess. It's going to be cropped, unfortunately, because that's just the nature of how my 1080p space with a 4K or 2K screen. Maybe if I transform it to screen. There we go. I have my green screen's working in the back. Whatever, it's fine. This stuff isn't working either. Oh wait, do I have the? There you go. It makes more sense. I had my cinematic bars on. There we go. Wait. Huh. Whatever. The majority of it can be seen. Anyways, back to it.
Smooth. So we've got rid of that. That's good. Now you'll notice that it has not fixed the silhouette of our object. Okay, so shade smooth is a illusion. Okay, it's not actually adding any geometry, which is great because it's light, it's lightweight, it's easy to work with. It's not adding geometry, but your silhouette will still be broken or still look jagged. The only way to fix that is to add more detail. It's something that games. That's kind of the thing. If you want to look at a game and go like, I wonder how poly this thing is. Like, look at the silhouette of a character or the shape of a building or something like that. And if you see jagged lines, you can basically see the mesh, like how high poly something is by the silhouette. So we can fix that with something called a subsurf operation, okay, or subdivision. And there are many ways to do it. But the way we do it in Blender is with adding a modifier. Okay, so we click this little wrench. Or is it a spanner? Is that a spanner? It's been a while since I got my hands dirty. Anyways, it's the modifier panel over here. And then go up and underneath add modifier. If you click it, you get a whole bunch of different options here. And the one that we're looking for is, I mean, I use it so often. I wish it was at the top, but it's not. It's down here, subdivision surface. So you click that, and you might see that it has now smoothed out.
Oh, it's
slightly. You can see that edge there.
Slightly.
The jagged edge is no longer there.
It's like anti-aliasing.
It is there, but it is less. So what is subsurf, it's called a subsurf, even though it's called subdivision. Subsurf modifier, what it is doing is and I'm going to temporarily turn this off by that little icon there, that's viewport. So if you uncheck that, it's disabling it for your viewport. And that one is for render, if you want to disable it for your render. Okay, so what it is doing is, you can see the edge there, right? If there are 3 points that make up that edge there, subsurf is now adding in, it's doubling the amount of detail across the entire mesh, not just the silhouette, the entire mesh. Every single point, it is now adding.
It's like super sampling.
Now, if you do 2 levels, so levels viewport and render, you can probably guess, that's just one operation. Okay, if I set this to 2, which is what you would see, set it to 2, which is what you see when you would render it.
Now it's super smooth.
It's doing it again. Okay, so it's, I guess the word's exponentially. It's exponentially adding detail every time you add this. So it's going to do it again and again and again. So obviously you don't want to go too high because otherwise your render times would be crazy. And yeah, you just want to keep it as low as possible.
Oh, it looks so smooth.
Often I keep it 1 or 0 whilst I'm working in the viewport. And then for the render, I keep it at like 1 or 2 or something. Anyways, all right.
Neat.
Okay, so we're spending a little long on this, but I need to just give you some background
I'm
on
gonna
how
follow
to
it
make
to the
things
T
look
what they're
smooth
doing
without really going high res. Okay. So as I teased before, this mesh is made up of little points, and we can edit those points and adjust things and whatnot by going into edit mode, which you can do by hitting tab.
Part 3.
tab on your keyboard. Okay.
Oh
Another way is
my
to go to the top
god.
left-hand corner, change from object mode to edit mode. Okay. So
Yep.
tab is just a fast way to switch between those two modes.
Gotta remember the key bindings. Very important.
Another way, third way, because why not? Control tab will bring up the pie menu, and then you can enter into, along with just object and edit mode, but like texture paint and sculpt mode, and we'll do a bunch of stuff later on. But edit mode.
Missing. Okay.
So in edit mode, we can see that we're now able to see the skeleton roughly that makes up our mesh. Okay, each of these little points
So
here is what
skeletony.
makes up our mesh. So these points are called vertices. Sorry, a
There's a
single
hole
one
here.
is called a vertex. Multiples are
something.
called vertices. Always get them confused
Why is there a hole
because
there?
it's got an S on it as well. It's like vertices.
That's kinda weird.
Vertexes. It's not vertexes. It's vertices. Anyways, these little points make up our mesh, and on each of these points, if you've got 3 or more, usually 4. 4 is the ideal one you're usually aiming for when you're making meshes. You can make a face. Okay, so if I just delete, I'll just hit X and I'll show you what it looks like without a face. Okay, so between each of these points there, I'll add another one with F, there is a face. Okay, so all the points together make up a face, and then that makes up your mesh. So what this means is that with these points, if I want to change the look of my mesh, I can take some of these points and I can move them. Okay, and you use the exact same hotkeys as you did before. So to move something, it is G for grab. Okay, so if I move this up and then go back out of edit mode to object mode, you can see as I move around, it's now got a little
dimple.
lump on it. Okay, pretty handy. So I could do that, right? I could tweak the shape of my mesh. Okay, so let's say like I wanted to, you know, like make my donut look kind of like lopsided, or like add some detail, because this is necessary, by the way. Your brain, when it thinks about objects, because you've seen them so many times, it simplifies it in your head. You think of a donut as being round, but it's bumpy, it's lumpy. It was thrown in the fire. The guy who
She has
made
like a
the
line
dough,
around
it
the
was a little
center.
lopsided. But in your head, you just think of it as a round circle.
Okay.
The digital world will always give you the perfect thing. So you need to go in and add those imperfections.
How do I
another quote,
automate
I don't
that?
know who said it? Imperfection is the digital perfection. Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very true. So think of that. So anyways, we need to add some lumps to it and make our donut lopsided.
Do you like lumps?
So if we held down shift, we could select multiple points,
Wow.
and then we could drag these out. I could do this. I could, slowly go through it. Now this is tedious, as I'm sure you can see. Clicking, lots and lots of clicking, little points. And that's really because that's not the way I would do this. What I would do,
moved 2 things instead.
which is a feature that you use all the time, and that is proportional editing. So if you click this little button at the top here, or the hotkey for that is O, turn that on and off. What this will do is that now when I rotate, scale, or hit G to grab and move it, now it's actually grabbing vertices around it and it is moving it together as a whole. Now by default, your proportional size is really high, okay? So if I scroll up, I can gradually bring the fall off down to what actually makes sense for my donut, okay? Now, this was actually a point, I was reading the comments on the last video, the last version of this I made, and this was a point that a lot of people got stuck on. If you can't see this ring here, just keep scrolling up, because it is there. If you see top left-hand corner, actually, it gives you the measurement. As I scroll, you can see the measurement of my fall.
There's something wrong here. I don't see anything. Am I supposed to hit control or something at the same time? Wait.
What this will do is that now when I rotate, scale, or hit G to grab and move it, now it's actually grabbing vertices.
Oh, I got it. I had to hit G at the same time.
Together as a whole. Now, by default, your proportional size is really high, okay? So if I scroll up, I can gradually bring the fall off down to
extra lumpy right there.
Donut, okay? Now, this was actually a point, I was reading the comments on the last video,
look at that.
the last version of this I made. And this was a point that a lot of people got stuck on.
I'm probably going to have to rewatch this a few times.
This ring here, just keep scrolling up, because it is there. If you see top left-hand corner, actually, it gives you the measurement. As I scroll, you can see the measurement of my fall off. What you're looking for is something like a 0.04. If you can't see 0.04 meters, just keep scrolling up until you see it. And if you are on trackpad, because those people also got stuck, because they're like, how do I scroll while I'm doing it? All you do is, on trackpad, you tap G,
0.4
then do a
meters.
single click.
I see.
And then down here in the bottom left-hand corner, you've got those options again.
It's
and then
this
you
side.
could adjust your proportional size
Oh god.
to like a 0.04.
Oh no. That looks normal.
And
No, it
then
doesn't.
if you move, you should see the correct proportional fall off. Okay. Really, guys, invest in a mouse, please. Going trackpad, look, it's fine for Facebook, but like you're doing stuff in 3D, you got to have a mouse. Come on. All right. Okay, so now that I do this with my fall off radius, and if I just scroll up and down, I can adjust and I can make my donut look however I want much more easily. Okay. Make this part go out. Maybe make this part have like a little lump that's sort of skew-if like that. Maybe this middle part, sort of like this. Okay. And I'll do another one here, something like that. Okay. Now that's a little lopsided. It's a little bit repetitive of what's on that side. And this is maybe a little bit too
Oh, my
far.
donut's looking very lively.
Just playing it by eye. But I have to keep this for the rest of the donut, for the rest of the tutorial. So I'm trying to do it well.
Yeah.
Something else, by the way, another hotkey. You could see that if I want to move this up, if I was to move it like this, right? It's moved everything also left to right as well, okay? Because of my camera angle, okay? If I'm looking at something like this and I'm moving it, it is moving it across the donut. So it's scrunching everything going this way. That's not what I want. I want it to go directly up. So it means I have to get my camera angle like right down here to do that up. Alternatively, a better way,
Hit the
not
key
to throw
bindings.
too many hotkeys at you, get my keyboard shortcuts if you haven't already, link in the description.
Look at the side.
But another hotkey is Alt-S, which instead of moving it just arbitrarily, this will now move it according to which direction those faces are pointing. And this is actually perfect for this exact case because we've got, points, rounded around it. And it's just, it's tedious to have to get my camera angle exactly right. When really I just want to be able to select certain parts and then pull them in and out. So Alt-S allows me to do that. The shrink and fatten tool is what it is called. But other softwares, I think they call it move along normals or something like that. Something like that. All right. And then maybe the base as well. I think we should make it a little bit lopsided on the base. Move that down.
You're going to shrink this down.
Something like that. Now, there is a sculpt tool, which we'll talk about when we get to the icing. That could also do this, but that is not the point of this tutorial. So I'm just doing proportional editing because, to be honest, like this proportional editing is perfect for this kind of thing. Yeah. Cool. So it's just entering into edit mode to do your changes, going into object mode to see how it looks, and then swapping back out with tab again. And that's really all it is. I think this is too thick on this side now. Too lopsided. I went too far with the imperfections.
I don't think I did that right.
But that also comes into like the style of it, of what you're doing. Yeah.
What am I doing?
Something like that. Oh, by the way, another side point I just mentioned. We're talking about object and edit mode, okay? A big problem a lot of beginners have that I find is that later on, you'll be like, I'll say, all right, so select your lamp and your camera or something like that.
Whoa.
And they'll be like, oh, I can't click on it. What's happened?
All right. Not
It's
do that.
because you are still in edit mode, okay? Edit mode means you cannot click on anything else other than the object that you are editing. You're still in this. When you switch back to object mode, you're now able to click on any object in your scene, but in edit mode, it is locked.
Camera's really
to
far
that
away.
view. So if you can't click on things, just remember, check what mode you're in. You're probably in edit mode. Switch to object mode and you'll be fine. Okay.
Making a really lumpy
Just to
donut.
finish on something completely random, because why not? Just throw it in there just as a little Easter egg for those of you that made it to the end of the video. Is something cool. If you go to select, there's an option there for select random, and this will just select at random vertices on your mesh, and then you've got a little ratio thing you could change. Down the bottom
Ratio.
there. Then, if you used Alt-S, you would basically make a lumpy looking donut. So it's kind of like a quick way. If you wanted to make a lumpy looking donut, you could do it that way. And also, if you change the fall off type, okay, so this is that ring, that little circle that goes around it, right?
What am I doing?
If you changed it from the smooth one to sharp, then you would make it
Whoa.
something else, like a spiky warped donut. I don't know. It actually looks better without the subsurf
Oh, shoot.
and like flat. It's like, no, it does not. Okay, I don't know what I was thinking with that. Anyways, all right, just something
What am I
random to
doing?
finish on. Okay, so play with your donut, get something that you like, and then join me in the next part as we do the icing. So click here.
Oh,
I will
no.
see you in the next video.
No, why does it look like that? Kind of looks like a scrunchie. Part 3,
To
go.
make renders like the
It kind of looks like a scrunchie. I'm a genius. Anyways, this is my donut looks like. It is very lumpy. I do like lumpy donuts. So we're off to a good start. I like the cake donuts, actually, is what I really like. Let's change this back to smooth. Tab. Select. Select random. Is that Alt S? Yeah. I think we need a little bit of definition to ours. There we go. Alt S again. Just a little bit more. There we go. Now it's more like a cake donut, I feel like. Thick donut. Nice. All right, all right.
these, you need high
Off to a good
quality
start.
assets, which is why I created Polygon.
Oh, don't play their own ads because I don't have it licensed.
Show where we make virtual donuts that we cannot eat. In this part,
Tasty.
we're going to be making the icing. So, with our wonderful donut here selected, we're
parts
going
is
to.
there? Hold up.
Well, first of all, yeah, like icing. I mean, you could do it a million ways. You could like add a plane and then like.
How many parts are there? 17. There's no way there's
If
actually
you just
17
open-
parts. Oh my god, there's 17 parts. How long is this tutorial? Save playlist. Save to library. It is 17 videos. Oh my god. I thought we could do this all in 2 hours, but oh damn. Anyways, we're just gonna keep going until we run out of time.
model it out and try and pull it down and then sculpt it and do a bunch of different ways. The easiest way really whenever you're doing something is to like try to reuse part of your mesh wherever you can. So we've already got the shape of a donut. We can duplicate our donut, shave off half of it, and then we've basically got icing. So that's what we're going to do. So enter into edit mode and we want to select half of our donut. So if we went into, you can see that, like, if we looked at it from this, you know, if we drew, you can see we're missing part of it, right? Because it's like
only what you can
this
see.
is one of those cases, is what I'm trying to say, where you need to use straight on. Okay, so or number pad 1, number pad 3, whatever you want to do, something like that. Okay, and by the way, when you use this, it also switches you to orthographic mode. Okay, so perspective mode is where you've got the depth fall off. Okay. And then orthographic mode is when it is like as if it was like on a focal length of like infinity. So you're seeing like the actual.
Oh, had to hold
the
shift.
best way to describe it. No
Duh.
perspective, essentially, zero perspective. And you can toggle between that, by the way, also with a number pad 5 or by clicking this little gizmo on the right hand side there at any point.
How do I get
Doesn't
the
have to
middle
be
part?
in a certain view. Okay, cool. So if we were to just drag over this right now, it looks like we've got half of our donut. However, if you moved around, you would see we're missing the other half of it. Okay, and that's because it's hard. Okay, the mesh is hard, and therefore to select on the other side of it, we have to be able to see through it, and we can do that by going up here and toggling X-ray. Or the hotkey for that is Alt Z, and that will now show us right through it. And now when we drag over it, you can see that we've got exactly the top half of our donut all the way around. Okay, perfect. So we want to duplicate this and then separate it. Okay, so I'm going to hit Shift D, which is how you duplicate, or you can go up to Mesh and then click on Duplicate, wherever that would be. Right there, duplicate at the top. Yeah, but Shift D. Okay, now when you do that, you can see that it is now locked onto my cursor, okay? And it's telling me, where do you want to place this duplicate? And I don't. I want to leave it exactly where it was. So if I hit escape or right click, it's going to cancel the movement and put exactly where it was, but it has now duplicated it. Now what we want to do is move this to its own object, because you can see that we've now got vertices on top of vertices, and they need to be their own separate objects. So to do that, the hotkey is P. P for...
Oh, I messed up at some point. Hold up. All right. Wait, did I? Wait. How did I grab the whole thing again? Oh, tab probably. Yeah, it's not there anymore. Okay, hold up. I got this. Just remember what they taught you. In this, then Alt, duplicate. Wait, that's not right. Wait, get out of that mode.
But now what we want to do is move this to its own object, because you can see that we've now got...
Nope.
That would be right there. Duplicate at the top.
Oh,
Yeah, Shift-D. Okay, now when you do that, you can see that it is now locked onto my cursor, okay? And it's telling me, where do you want to place this duplicate? And I don't. I want to leave it exactly where it was. So if I hit escape or right click, it's going to cancel the movement and put exactly where it was, but it has now duplicated it. Now what we want to do is move this to its own object, because you can see that we've now got vertices on top of vertices, and they need to be their own separate objects. So to do that, the hotkey is P. P for part of the mesh.
Okay.
Go to another, I don't know. It's P for whatever reason. It's always
selection.
And we're looking for selection. So separate by the selected part of the mesh. Okay.
It worked.
And now in object mode, if we switch out of X-ray mode, you can see that we now have two objects, and actually we can see them up here in the outliner as well.
There's fire on my screen
now. Just very quickly, because I know that some of you will have just messed up accidentally, and you are now screaming at the screen, oh no, how am I going to fix this? When you did this step, you duplicated it, you right-click to cancel it, and then you accidentally did a single click. If you clicked something else, you've now got mesh on top of a mesh, and you don't know which vertex is which, like which is the one that was the one that you just made, right? Or which one is the actual donut. So if you ever run into this problem, what you can do is to select only things that are connected, because these are no longer connected, right? There's bits that are not connected. It's Control L, or just mouse over and then just hit a single L. L for loose parts. Is it? I don't know what it is. Link. Oh, it's linked. Okay, select linked. There you go. Then when you do that, you can actually, find the right part of your mesh. Okay, so now I've actually just got just my donut and then just my icing. Fantastic. Okay, so up here in the outliner, you can see two objects, and it's probably a good time to name it, okay? So you can name it by just double-clicking in the outliner, and we can call it icing. Another way to name it is if you've just got your object selected anywhere in your 3D viewport, it's the same hotkey as Windows, renaming files. It's F2. F2, and I can now type in donut, and there we go. So two things, and we could organize it however we want. Cool.
Nut.
So our icing is currently looking like a skin tight something. It's got to have some thickness to it, okay? And we can do that with the modifiers. Okay, so going over here to your modifier stack again, we are looking for something called the solidify.
Oh, solidify.
Right here. There really needs to be a search function for the modifier stack, but there's just a lot here at the moment. So solidify. Okay. Now when we do this, you might not have actually really seen much change. If you went into wireframe mode, which you could do by hitting Z and then dragging to the left to go wireframe, or up here, so this is solid view mode, this is wireframe mode, okay?
Interesting.
In wireframe mode, we're able to see just the raw mesh without any faces. You can see that it looks like a donut within a donut, but it's got thickness to it, but it is pointing it in the wrong direction. So this thickness. Offset setting here from -1, we want to change that to 1. And now go back to solid view. Okay, so that is just a doona of icing. It's a lot. So we're going to turn our thickness down to be something a little more reasonable. And by the way, when you're dragging these values here, here's a tip. You can see that it's like really hard to control, because subtle movements is what I need, but it's moving it by a lot. If you hold down shift, that is no, not incremental. What is it? Smooth movements? Subtle movements. Yeah. Anyways, holding down shift when you need to use small numbers. And control, by the way, will snap it to increments. So I use that actually quite a lot. So yeah, shift for smooth movements and control for incremental, or both. Smooth, like subtle and incremental. Anyways, all right. I'm giving you all the hotkeys and everything at once. I hope it is not too much for you. All right. I'm going to go for like something like a 0.0015 of icing, because I want it to look somewhat thick, but like not too thick.
No, 51, 1.5.
Now,
That's 1.4.
something to keep in mind is that this edge here, it looks kind of weird for a lot of reasons. If we went into flat shading mode, you can see that it's created like a hat, a hat on our donut, okay? And the reason for that is the order of our modifiers here. So a modifier is, what is the best way to think of it? Well, it's working from top to bottom. That's how we'll describe it. Okay, modifiers are fantastic because at any point we can change these settings. It is a non-destructive way of working. This subdivision setting that I had before, I think it's too high. So I can come in here and I can change these settings, okay? Make it lighter. If it was not, if I was to apply it or I did it a different way, I could
It's
not
just
change
like
those
your
settings.
effects things, layers.
It also means that
in
it's
After
working
Effects.
from top to bottom. So what I want to do is move this above my subdivision, which I can do by just dragging these dots at the top here.
Makes
dragging
sense.
that up. And you can see that now it's doing the, if I just turn that off, it's doing the thickness part first, and then it is smoothing it, which means that that edge there that was like this before is now being forced to go like this because of the subsurf, because it adds those points and then it kind of averages them out, which is, yeah, how subdiv works. There we go. Cool. So now, I don't know, now that thickness doesn't look like enough. So I'll just increase that a little bit. And I'm going to go shade smooth again. Okay. Lovely. Well, we made good time. Yeah, let's just jump to the next video. We're actually going to start modeling in the dripping parts of our icing in the next part and doing a little bit of sculpt. Join over 1 million 3D.
Skip. Okay.
It's always fun. Whenever you release a multi-part tutorial series, it's just fun seeing like the viewership drop after every part as people quit.
This looks really suspicious.
Hey, you're staying on track. You haven't given up yet. No. I do hope that you can all stay through.
Neat.
In this part, we are going to be making our icing look more like icing, more dribbled down rather than
when
like
did this happen?
Yarmulke or a like.
It's got like a hat.
Bagel or something.
Head.
I just cut this in half.
Whatever.
I feel like that would look pretty close to a bagel. Yeah, it does. We want to make it look more like icing and also make our donut underneath also have a little bit more shape. So, the icing. Okay, now we want to be able to see our mesh and like manipulate things and everything here, but we can't because it's mostly hidden by our solidify modifier. So in your modifier stack over here, if we just uncheck this button here, then it will no longer display in edit mode, so I can work with the mesh here, but then I go back to object mode, then you can see the solidify modifier again. So that's what we want. Okay, so if I was to move this down by hitting G, I got to turn on my screen keys tool because it's turned off. There we go. If I move this down with G and then went back to object mode, you can see that we've got something that looks like a little droop, a little dribbly bit. So you can guess we are going to be doing quite a bit of that. I'm going to turn on proportional editing, as you could probably guess. So that now when I move down, I can scroll up, scroll down and increase the fall off. And now I can create a big dribbly bit. But you'll notice that straight away, there's a couple of problems. Okay, so for one,
it's about the same.
This bit is sticking straight out. And then also, this bit of our icing is clipping through the donut, which would require a whole bunch of fixing and like manually going in there. It's not good. So it would be great if we could make it snap to the face underneath. And there is a feature just for that. Okay.
Yeah, Splendour is amazing.
The snapping tool is right up here. Okay, this little magnet icon. Okay. Now, quick just overview of snapping. Snapping, you can always, whether you go up there and like turn it on or not, you can always temporarily enable it by holding down Control. Okay. So this default is set to increment. So if I'm moving an object, rotating, scaling, that's transforming. Okay, so it's snapped during transform. If I'm moving it, if I just hold down control as I move it, I am temporarily restricting its movement to the grid floor underneath it, basically, because that's the increment that it's looking at. Okay, so I can only move it when I'm holding down control to that, and that is the exact same thing as if I was to check that, turn that button on, and then move it without hitting
Mr.
control.
Ricardo 2622.
So there's no difference between holding control or not holding control. It functions the exact same way. It's just that this way lets you do it without having to hold control, basically. But that's also another good point, because there's a hotkey for it. I can't remember what it is, but you sometimes hit it accidentally without realizing, and then you're like, why can't I move things properly? It's all messed up, and that's actually a common beginner question. Why can't I move things?
Estoy bien.
Just check that that's not turned on.
E2. I'm gonna get the most out of my 2 years of Spanish. Let's go.
Anyway, okay. So coming back to our donut here, we want to make sure that that's turned on, and I want to change it from snap to increment to snap to face. Okay. And now that I do this, you can see that if I grab this edge here, sorry, that point there, and I just move it down, you can see that part of it is this edge here, at least, or this point, is now snapping to the face, okay? But this part is not, okay? So there, okay. I'll try not to say that too much. There is a function for this. Underneath snap to project individual elements, which doesn't explain anything. Really. There's no way you would know that this is the button to push. There's really no clue that that's what to do. But it is. If we check that, now, when we use our proportional fall-off, anything that falls in the proportional fall-off area will now also snap to the face.
I don't know what that means.
And that is how we do it. Now we can do whatever we want here. We can move this around. We can do whatever. And we can make our donut icing look like icing. And it will automatically snap and form the shape of the donut, which is perfect. Now, I've learned from doing donuts many, many, many times. I've made more virtual donuts than probably actual donuts I've ever eaten. I've learned that it's better if you work from reference. Okay, so go to your Google Images and type in donut icing, and then just find an image.
All right.
Doesn't really matter which one, but like
I gotta use my phone.
Okay, if you like the look of it, like this like extra dribbly one, you could get that. I happen to like this one here.
We're going to use, I don't really have too many of these, so scan donut icing. We're going to use, no. No, open image, a new tab. This is going to be our reference. World's smallest photo. Whoa, my screen protector just went super weird on my phone. Oh, whoa. Okay. I need a new screen protector. Yep, that looks real good. Okay, back to the video.
Just save the image, put it somewhere, put it on your desktop, and then I'm going to show you how to bring this into Blender.
How to bring it into Blender?
We want to split our window here. And you can do that one of two ways. One is to go basically over the edge.
I feel like I missed like a few steps here. Let's just go back. Just like back to where he's talking about something.
Fall off area will now also snap to the face underneath it. And that is how we do it. Now we can do whatever we want here. We can move this around. We can do whatever. And we can.
Line. Okay, face.
No clue that that's what to do, but it is. If we check that, now when we use our proportional fall off, anything that falls in the proportional fall off area will now also snap to the face underneath it, and that is how we do it. Now
I see. It's going through, but it's not actually going through.
Move this around. We can do whatever, and we can make our donut icing look like icing, and it will automatically snap and form the shape of the donut, which is perfect.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Now, I've learned from doing donuts many times. I've made more virtual donuts than probably actual donuts I've ever eaten. I've learned that
I should probably change that to smooth.
It's better if you work from reference. Okay, so go to your Google Images and type in donut icing, and then just find an image.
Yeah,
It doesn't really matter which one, but like something that you like. Okay, if you like
Whatever.
the look of it, like this like extra dribbly one, you could get that. I happen to like this one here. Just save the image.
Okay.
Put it somewhere. Put it on your desktop, and then I'm going to show you how to.
All right, let's do that. I'm gonna really quickly get rid of the YouTube vid. The reopen stuff, because Yep. Perfect. Right click. Save image as. Yep. Good enough. Download. Sure. One. Shown folder. I guess I'll move this to here. Perfect. I have 3 monitors and it's still somehow not enough monitors. I don't understand how. Okay, YouTube vid. There you go.
Bring this into Blender. So we want to split our window here, and you can do that one of 2 ways. One is to go basically over the edge, a divider of a window here, until you get those little arrows there so that you could change the size of this, right? And just right click there, and then you can say vertical or horizontal split. So,
Vertical split.
Oh, that did nothing. Vertical split. Ta-da.
Oh.
So we've now got 2 windows.
Oh, dang.
Another way to do it is to go to the top right-hand corner of your screen until you get, there's no button for it, but your cursor becomes a little target pointer thing. And if you just click and drag to the left into it, it will now split the view. If you click and drag to the right, it will now join it. And that used to be the only way you could make extra windows in Blender. You just had to know to do that. There was a little like fold thing there, but anyways, it's kind of an.
I did something wrong.
Kind of kept because it's.
I know. Quickly.
So
window.
anyways, once I've split the view, this
Where's
could be
workspace?
anything. So this is a whole
Oh,
bunch of
what did I
all the
do?
features of Blender, and it goes deep.
What did
The
I
one we're looking
do?
for is image.
Squarespace? Oh, okay. I don't know how I fixed it, but I fixed it. That was vertical split. Okay, cool. Perfect.
Image editor, which allows you to, guess what? Just bring
Wait. Okay, go back like a few things here. All right, he's talking.
to do that. There was a little like fold thing there, but anyways, it's kind of an old thing that they've kind of kept because it's pretty handy. So anyways, once I've split the view, this could be anything. So this is a whole bunch of all the features of Blender, and it goes deep. The one we're looking for is image editor, which allows you to, guess what? Just bring in any old image. So this is the one we're going to do. Okay. Now, I want to start to model some of the shapes here, and it should result in a far better one than if I just went by eye, because it's one of those lessons you learn that you always think you know how something looks, and then you get to the end and you go, it doesn't look really good, and then you go, oh, I should have just used a reference photo because it's totally different than what I imagined. I want to get a t-shirt. I want to just
Totally know what I'm doing.
Reference, because it's like my biggest piece of advice for artists whenever they ask for feedback. I'm like, just look at reference. You got it wrong. And I do it wrong myself.
Looks like you need like super
so to make
grips.
this gloopy bit, you'd probably see that if I like grabbed one of these pieces and I like moved it down, it looks jagged. There's not enough detail here to create that bit. So what we need is more detail. So I am going to apply our subsurf, okay? So to apply anything, it's best to put it before put it to the top, because that's essentially what it's going to do. It has to apply it, and then it's going to be reading from the top anyway, roughly. So I put it to the top, and it's okay. We'll fix this edge after. To apply the subsurf, if we go to this little drop-down arrow and then hit apply, or you can just hit Control-A while hovering over this, it will apply whatever is in the viewport amount, not the render amount, but the viewport amount. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'll just hit Control-A or hit apply. And now,
Control-A.
Why is that?
Oh.
Okay.
You have way more vertices now.
You can see that we now have double the amount of our of vertices on it. I'm temporarily hiding the donut, by the way, which you can do by hitting, you can hide anything temporarily by hitting H, and then Alt-H will bring anything back again. So if you just need to temporarily get something out of the way, H, and then Alt-H. Okay. But yeah, somehow this is like, I don't know, it's like clipping through it, which we could, it's odd that that's happening. You can see that if I just like randomly click here, that I'm going to bring this through. Yeah. There is another way, which I'll show you. We're going to use a shrink wrap modifier next, but I want to do this in order to just sort of show you, sort of like the problem-solving way of doing things. But anyways, all right, let's find where it was I was going to make that gloopy bit. It doesn't really matter. I can just do it right here. Okay, so I'm going to make a little bit that goes down. This bit over here, this bit can go down even further, like that, right there. And then this...
Oops. Oh,
I'm going to use to pull down. Now, if I pull... so there's a bug in Blender. I believe it's a bug because it's only happening occasionally.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It didn't happen in the last version of Blender. Pretty sure this is a bug just because I'm using the beta version of 3.0. For some reason, it is selecting through my mesh, which should not happen, but it's happening right now, and it's very irritating. So I'm going to have to report the bug after I finish recording this. But anyway, it just means I have to be careful. If I pull this down... You can see that yes, it's the other thing I wanted to do after the solidify modifier now is add another subsurf modifier so that we get that smooth edge back again. Okay, but if I move it down, it looks, it's a little too stretched. Okay, so you want to try and go as far as you can, but at a certain point you need extra mesh. You need to sort of break this line to create extra parts of the mesh. So the way to do that is to extrude. So if I select part of my mesh here, let's say 3 points like that, and I hit E, that will extrude. So I now get extra faces, extra vertices. And because this is turned on, it should also automatically snap to the face underneath it. And I'm going to do it again. Let's just make an extra long gloopy bit. Okay, so you can see that is a totally different look, right? You've got this bit that is now like free flowing down there rather than feel like it's like stretching an edge. So modeling is, I mean, that's really like a big part of modeling is understanding topology and like where to, add more detail where you need it and where not to, etc. I'm just pinching these in.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I think something's happening.
But yeah. But I'm trying to keep this fairly simple for this tutorial. Okay, so I've got that little bit there. Now let's do another little bit that goes next to it. So I'll grab this bit.
That doesn't look too bad, right? It looks kind of weird here.
Let's grab 2 points. Just make this a short little gloopy bit. Or will it be? That looks a little bit weird, actually. It's so odd that bug has happened. Never seen that bug before. Bugs get fixed surprisingly quickly in Blender, by the way, if you're curious.
I don't know. We're just like...
They are hard to come across because with an open source software like Blender, like so many people are using it, and so many people are reporting bugs that...
it's not bad. That looks bad.
It is surprisingly more stable than 3ds Max Maya. I say that now, and like people will be raging in the comments. No, it's not.
Where is there too much straight line?
But I'm pretty sure that's like
right here,
fairly well agreed upon in the community.
You know what I'm saying?
Anyways, not to toot Blender's horn because it's definitely not perfect, but it does seem to be fairly stable. That's one of its great points. All right, and you know what? I might make another little gloopy bit over here.
This whole part here
I
is...
don't want to make this, these parts too long, but I do want to make this look
too
good,
much,
and I want to show you sort of the thought process that goes into it. Because some people will then go like,
I don't know what I just did.
Donut tutorial take, why does it take 6 hours to make a donut? Well, it doesn't. But I can do it really quick if you want, but you won't learn anything. Anyways,
okay.
Now I'm making on the other side of the donut. Let's say over here, like a really big gloopy bit that goes down. But so far down,
I need to move this.
It's going to extrude another piece down. Hitting E to extrude it down. And then I'll scale that in by hitting S.
In with your mates, all right?
And let's just move this up and around.
Did I do this wrong? I did not.
All right, that's pretty good. And then I'll make this bit next to it.
That
seems to be a common thing. When you've got one gloopy bit, there's another bit that's right next to it. I don't know if that's true. Just sort of making it up as I go. Okay.
Creativity.
Cool. Awesome. Well, let's just say we continued that all the way around, but you could...
It's been so long since I've actually sat down and tried to learn something. Usually I get really distracted.
Donuts, unlike this one, I mean, this is actually pretty good. But you could see that the edge, like the donut shape, something happens in the middle of it, okay? And you might be able to see it in other reference photos. But basically, usually it's like divoted. It's like it's fat all around it, and then this part on the edge, this one's probably a clear photo. It sort of cuts into it a little bit.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, I actually recorded a video that I'll put on the screen here. The reason for that is that when it's
Gets
cooked, it's put
flipped.
into a fryer. It sits and it just like floats. So half of it is submerged in this fryer, and then it flips, and then they do the other half. So the part that's like resting on the surface of the oil usually is cooked less because I guess the oil is less hot. I
Mm.
guess. But I guess it would depend on the buoyancy of the donut, so maybe it doesn't happen all the time. But evidently, that seems to be one component of a donut is that it has
Get rid of
that
the
bit
icing,
that
get the nut.
goes in. So it's like it's fat up top, it goes in a little bit, and then it's fat down the bottom again. So let's do that in edit mode with our donut.
Okay.
But we need more geometry. Same problem as we did with the donut icing straight away. We've got the same problem here. So I'm going to apply my subsurf modifier over here, hit apply. Now I've got double the geometry. And I don't need to add another one because I don't really need it right now.
Jeez,
And
that is
now I'm gonna
too much,
hit
probably.
O. Whoops. O again. Turn that on. Disable snapping because I no longer need that, or I don't need it for this step anyway.
Okay.
And then using my proportional fall off because I do want that. I'm just going to make
All
it
right, we missed
a
like
little bit.
50 steps here. Hold up. He clicked stuff
Now I've got to
underneath.
apply my subsurf modifier over here. Hit
Okay.
apply. Now I've got double the geometry. And I don't need to add another one because I don't really need it right now. And now I'm going to hit O. Whoops. O again. Turn that on. Disable snapping because I no longer need that, or I don't need it for this step anyway. And then using my proportional fall off because I do want that.
Oh my God.
I'm just going to make it like a little bit flat on the inside part here. Okay. Cool. All right. Now, this is now way off. Okay. So why did I do it in this order? Right. Why, Andrew? Why didn't we start shaping it the way like that? Because now it would seem like we have to go through here, turn on this, and like snap it for each one of these parts. And that's just annoying. Well, you don't, okay? Because there is, and I did it in this order because I want to show you this.
Oh,
there's
I
two
think I
ways to
kind of
make
did it
something
right
snap.
somehow
The other
without
one
knowing what's
is
going on.
The shrink wrap modifier. So
Okay.
the shrink wrap modifier, if I click this little target eyedropper here, the eyedropper, whenever
Oh, we
you
need
see
to pause.
that,
We need to pause. Something just happened. Shrink wrap. What is going? Oh, there it is. Okay. And then target. Oh. I don't think I.
it just means click it and then select on your viewport which object you want to target. If you hit that, it will now snap
Okay.
to the mesh.
Okay.
Now, what's happened? Why does it look like, I don't know, pretty cool pattern, but yeah. Why is it doing that? It's because of the order of your modifier. So if something doesn't look right, check the order of your modifiers. It's working top to bottom. So it's giving thickness first, and then later on it's shrink wrapping it to it. So obviously that's
So yeah,
not right.
shrink wrap it
Shrink
first.
wrapping goes first.
Yeah.
Now that we've done that,
Oh.
you can see this is what it looked like before. This is what it looks like after. So shrink wrap modifier will try to find the shortest distance between each of these points and the mesh underneath
I think
it.
my.
And it just
There
so
we
happens
go.
to usually get it right. Just check the inside part, make sure there's no problems there. But yeah, that's how you can do it. So now we've got something that looks a little bit more like the shape of a donut, right? Because the edges are, that the sides of it are not jutting out. They seem to be flat. And that's kind of cool. It's kind of what we want. I might actually make this bottom bit just a little bit fatter. So I'm going to hit Alt-S on this. Whoop, turn off this. Alt-S.
Okay, touch this. Do that. Please do this. It's too good. Okay. This part right here. Alt S. What is he doing?
Just make this a little bit chunkier. Just add a little bit of interest to it. And then, yeah, just go through it and continue making your icing droopy like you want. Now, this was one way to do this droopiness, and it's okay, but it doesn't look as good as it could, right? Because when this drip goes down here, you can see that it becomes more bulbous, right? As the liquid sort of forms that drip there. And we are missing that. We are going to do that in the next step.
Oh, shoot. I think we might have to be done.
Sculpting. So just
we have
basically
no time
create
left.
the basic sort of form that you want, but we're going to do more detail and learn about another tool of Blender, sculpting, in the next part. So go ahead, click here on the screen, and I will see you in the next part.
That was cool. I feel like we accomplished a lot, and I'm not gonna remember any of it until next time. But I have like 30 minutes left, so come back next week. Just kidding. Come back Thursday. We doing more this Thursday. As it, you can see all my stuff there. Haha. Forgot that. Get out of here. Yeah. Why isn't this not working? I really did break something, and I don't know how. This is so strange. Alexa, play Despacito. Control save. If I exit this, it fixes it. Okay, so who knows why it's not working. Either way, we'll be back at it Thursday. We'll do the next, 2 hours of the tutorial. And then Saturday, probably nothing. Friday, maybe. Saturday, we have something else planned. It's gonna be kind of cool. You just won't see it for a while, but it's gonna be cool. Until then, ciao. Thanks for stopping by. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, whatever people always say. Make me happy. Also, I didn't expect this tutorial to have like 15 parts to it. I thought it'd be like one and done. But I feel like we're learning a lot of stuff, which is good, which is very good. Anyways, until next time. I don't really have ending music, so I'm just going to cut it off now. Goodbye.